Well, it's been a minute. We got Dave back. It's had new job changes and people moving around and a long summer. And Dave was teaching, so we couldn't get to it. Dave, how the hell are you?
Yeah. Good, good. Lots going on, excited to be back. Maybe in the fall and the winter, you kind of get things on track and get rolling, some consistency, which would be fun.
Right,
I know we were brainstorming the other day and lots to talk about, it sounds like, right?
right. I say we do a catch up, and then
Yeah.
we'll hopefully, depending on your schedule, and then depending how slow we'll call it. I won't use the other words that I used in the past, but slow those damn hockey players are, and if they can actually speak English verbiage, we'll get them on here.
Yeah.
So,
It's
but
tough, right? It's not easy. Like
no,
that's
I
another
agree.
whole process is how do you get things going and how do you get people involved? It's not easy for sure.
Right.
Right.
Well,
But we're here
we're
now.
here. Dave gets to go see his family. You're going next week
Yeah,
back
I'm
from
sliding
Austria.
into Toronto from Austria for a couple of weeks. Yeah, see the parents, see the kids, see the fam, all that, and then out of there, in and out, real quick.
You know how that
Yes.
important that is to me. I just did it. So we just did our cottage trip, which means the world, and it still means the world that my kids, it means the world to them, right? So I remember
Yeah.
when my oldest was probably, I don't know, 14, 15. And then I was talking to my buddy, and he was like, "Oh, you just wait, Mac, till they turn 16 and blah, blah, blah." And well, they all still love it and they all still go. So
Oh, they thought they would. Your buddy thought they would be out.
yeah, they wouldn't show and they would just do
Yeah.
their own thing. And I'm like, no, I don't think so, but okay.
Yeah.
So
No, that's a culture that you started though. Like this is long tradition, right? This goes
right.
way back, and that's inbred sometimes.
Well, my kids are the sixth generation, as you know. You've been down
Yeah.
there. I've had it since
Yeah, that matters.
1890.
Sometimes people would say no, it doesn't, but generational stuff does matter. For
Well,
sure. I'm growing
and
some plants, and I'm on fourth generation, and they're like my babies.
number four, Quattro.
Number four, I got a double seed this year. Got seed, then seed again.
Oh, that's funny. Speaking of that,
31 babies,
no,
31 seeds fell out, literally.
there you
A little
go.
too much.
Germination.
Germination.
Um, we well, I didn't ski this year because I was scared of my hamstring.
Yeah.
Um, since last year, my brother, who had all the kids in the back of the boat, and I was torpedoing under the water for a good 30 seconds and ripped my hamstring trying to slalom. We didn't do that this year, but pulled the kids around, and then. But the other injury-prone sport that we do a lot now, Dave, is pickleball.
Yeah, I want to hear about it. I want to get into it. It's on my list. It's literally like top two, three sports that I want to get into this year.
I dig it.
Yeah.
The first thing I said was for middle-aged guys getting into this, there's going to be this looks like a hamstring, looks like a Achilles or blah blah blah. As soon as I say that, my buddy tore his calf. The second guy slight tear in the Achilles. So yeah, you got to be careful, and you got to sort of. I would stretch like I've lost some weight from walking. Dave, you and I talked about diet and health and whatnot earlier.
Yeah.
I haven't been as good as Dave wanted me to be with the sweets late night and whatnot, but I have
Yeah.
done the walk slash maybe light jogging. So I think I'm down about 15 or whatever, and the
Yeah.
10.
How do you feel though? Like, does it matter? Like, are you like,
Sure,
yeah,
it
let's
still
keep
needs to
this
be
train
more.
going?
Yeah, no, I definitely want to, and um, I need to start doing the working out part as well.
Yeah.
But I've still got an elbow issue. You know my injuries. Everybody
Hmm.
knows my injuries. We talked about them. So the shoulder's doing okay. The elbow
Yeah.
isn't. I still can't straighten my arm, and so got this brace that sort of rips it apart. And just had a
Yeah.
cortisone
But
shot yesterday.
well, I'm gonna give you a tip that I got when I was a kid that stuck with me forever. When I was a little kid, I was playing in the park. I don't know. You remember my old house? There was a park beside us, and the older kids across the street were playing. And whatever, a foul ball went up into the trees, kind of came down, hit me in the shoulder or the side, and I'm lying on the ground crying, right? And I'm a little kid crying, crying. And I remember the older kids came up to me and they're like, get up. And I'm like, ah, they're like, get up. And I'm like, ah, they're like, It's your shoulder. It's not your legs.
Right.
I'm like, what? So same to you.
Yeah,
Okay,
there you go.
bum arm, bum elbow. Get down and do some abs, right?
All
Do
right.
some squats. Do some lunges.
So we're doing the walking
Get,
part.
yeah, you got to get on it. There's no excuse.
So walk well, and so the biggest difference you'll notice, and it's like I'd say it's a form of ping pong ish with a little more exercise.
Oh, the pickleball? Yeah.
Yeah, and playing singles. That's where you can. So I played with my son and pretty much pulled my hamstring 3 weeks in a row. But doubles is more like less running, more
Yeah.
contact,
Reaction.
more reaction time. But it's good. I like it. It's
Yeah.
it's the new fad. I'll tell you that. Everybody's into it now.
Yeah, well, I saw Tom Brady, right? He was doing a big thing on it. He was
Oh,
like
did he?
running some big tournaments, and he was talking about getting right into it. Yeah.
Yeah, they're getting some TV time as well. Well, it's good. They have it over there in Austria.
Yeah, they've got it through the university, so I'm probably going to do it through that. It's going to be a bunch of young kids, though. So, like you said, like guys, your son's age, right? So, I gotta make sure I'm gentle on myself.
The other sport you mentioned, and we've talked about it, is my buddy actually said, Mac, let's go do that hot yoga. He goes, he didn't think I'd be able to do it. And I haven't done it yet, but
Yeah.
and then I would mention that to you, and you said, well, I'm doing my thesis on it.
Doing my master's thesis
There you
on
go.
masculinity and male yoga teachers, right? Yeah.
Right.
Hot yoga is amazing. I love it. Like the stretch you get from it. Don't go crazy, right? Don't try to be Mr. Yoga. No shirts off yet. Shirts off, that could be a goal. Yoga shirts off, right? With that, whatever that represents.
Right.
But it's amazing. I love it. I love it because I like zoning out. I've got a little bit of like my brain. I like to kind of think a little bit sometimes, and it just gives me a free space. That too. There's a lot to do with meditation as well with healing. So I say go do it. Sweat your ass off. Bring 2-3 towels. Don't chintz on the towels, and and get a good mat, because the mat, if you're gonna do it, get a sticky mat. That'll save you everything, because if your mat's slippery, you're going to be just trying to protect yourself from falling.
My buddy said he's got a good mat for me, so we'll start with that, and then if I like it, I'll get one.
Yeah. There's I'll send, when you're ready, I'll send you some ones that I think are pretty good for hot yoga too.
All right. It would have to be good, from when you're looking at, you're supposed to get in the good Zen, right? So you're supposed to, with life and all that. So that's good. That's a positive. And then the other big thing is I've promoted to my kids and stretch more than I did, because for injury sports, all that, you'd think good, double good.
Oh yeah,
bucket less check.
Huge. Just don't go hard. Just take it easy, right? You're not a superstar yet.
How do you become one? Just stretch.
You'll
you
get
touch
there.
your toes rather than your knees. Like I can't even bend over and touch my knees probably right now.
Yeah, no, you'll get there. You'll notice it, right? And it's breathing, right? So when you breathe in, going up, and just slowly let it all out, going down, and that gets you that extra stretch. And even when you're in the stretch, you can be halfway through the stretch. Breathe, keep your pose, breathe in, and then as you exhale, go a little deeper and deeper and deeper, right? And everybody's got a good attitude. Right? It's all good vibes, which is what I love too. Like there's no competition. Well, not that I've noticed. Not a lot of competition.
Yeah, how would there become? He's going lower than me.
Yeah. Well, this is kind of where my masculinity yoga started, was because I do notice my yoga practice change a little bit when there are more men in the room or men teachers. And I've questioned myself, like, why am I thinking that? Like, why do I maybe try a little harder? Is it a competition? Is it I'm being judged? I don't know. And that was kind of one of the steps that led me into figuring out this male masculine yoga thing.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
I got to learn more.
Well, and I'm sure you are, and you're going to end up going to 14 sex clubs just to find out why.
Don't even start. That's next week. This is catch-up week. No details. But yeah, it's pretty fun. Yeah, I'm not going to, yeah.
Okay, well, so we've got prior to, I guess we can stay on the cottage for a minute, because there were a couple, since we're talking health. My bro had a fainting episode, and then with my vasovagal, I was like, well, we might gotta get this checked out. We might have Mackenzie syndrome or something. Anyway, he was good. We hope. He hasn't been tested yet, but it could have been dehydration. It could have been a little fungi. It could have been a lot of other things, but you just worry about those things. So
Yeah.
I don't know whether it's hereditary or not or whatever. And you always got to, especially in Canada where they got the free healthcare, you want to be able to check it out and know what you're dealing with.
Yeah, yeah. How is that in Canada? I know it's getting a little bit slow. My dad's had some problems, and it's
Right.
taking a little bit of time, like to get all these treatments and get people in. And with the nurses gone from COVID, and now trying to come back, and backlogs and all that stuff. So
We've
yeah,
had our buddy's mom who had to get some. I thought when you were medically necessary, it would be okay, but they're starting to go down that path. For an orthopedic, yeah, you're gonna get an MRI in 6 months, but it's weird that they're sort of screwing that up too, where this is needed, and you gotta you gotta find somebody in the system. Hopefully you got a friend in the system that you can sort of push you through and get it. But yeah, no, it's not. I wouldn't say it's the best. It's free, but not the best.
yeah. So what else is going on though? Like you were talking about health and stuff like that, but you also wanted to talk about some other life things too to kind of get some interest and excitement going.
What's that? Well, we wanted
I
to.
don't know. You got your list. I know. Let's get into some.
Well,
I don't want to
I
beat
didn't do
the
any.
dead health horse, but
Right.
let's
No,
something more exciting.
I
Or what about current events? Where are you at with that?
Well, I went to Vegas when we go to Vegas a couple months ago for Worlds for Golden Tee. I did not qualify. Ended up staying with a couple buddies and ended up, as I'm itching my leg right now, I'm thinking about it since I got 4 spider bites in his blow up mattress that he pulled out of the garage, and they're still on my leg for 4 months.
Yeah,
these spider bites are tough.
They
But
are tough.
that was the 4 days we were there. Average temp of like 115, so that was pretty warm.
Yeah,
And had some fun. We had where I went and saw Trace back in Easter, if that's where you were leaning.
You lean into LA, yeah,
Little LA lean. So Trace ended up moving in here back in May. So
yeah,
one big happy family.
Yeah, and that's got to be good too for motivation for health wise, right? Because then
so
you
we're
can kind
both
of
doing
cheer
it.
each other on. Yeah.
Yeah.
When you're solo, it's a little bit different. There's that pressure to be healthy because you want to go, meet people. But when you have someone with you that's kind of, maybe let's go to bed early, right? Get some sleep. Let's do this. Let's do that. Let's get active. Like that's huge. That's
Still trying to work on that since, it was cottage for the last little bit, and that's a concert every night pretty much. But yeah, no, when we had, I got my sticks, got my new golf sticks.
Yeah.
Got some Mizunos ready to play those. Looking forward to it. Hopefully the health comes around.
Yeah.
You and I were talking about that golf trip we had with our dads. It was one tournament back at Angus Glen in Toronto. Great track right when it opened, and Dave and I had
a couple of accidents.
Yeah, just one. Dave, this tree stump popped up on us
in the middle of the forest.
Yeah, it was a curve.
Why is there a tree stump in the middle of a forest?
Right on the edge of the cart path, but it was a 90. It was you had to go around it. Who puts that?
It was tough. It was a downhill cart path. So yeah, off the tee. I think it was 17 or 16.
Right. One hole till we're done.
Around a corner. Downhill 90-degree turn.
Right.
Second last hole of a all-you-can-drink golf tournament
and
with 8 of your friends.
You and I unbuckle our bags and walk it in. And
we didn't know. We jumped on another bag. We jumped on a cart girl's bag.
Oh, perfect.
A cart. Yeah,
I knew the cart didn't
all
make
of our
it.
signs off of our cart. We took the numbers off the cart because the carts were brand new.
That's not us.
Never even used. Yeah, there's a cart in the 17th forest.
Speaking of 17th,
we put our paper maybe in another cart.
That's
no, Dave and Chris, they're good. There's their cart. Yeah, where's Mark's cart?
Mark's Dave's brother.
Yeah, that'd be funny.
We had that was the same thing as non-drinking too, so it happens at Timber Ridge. Have you play Timber with us at the cottage?
Bevel.
Well, it's Brighton.
No, the one in Brighton. Yeah.
So on 17 there's a par 3, and there was slight rain. I'm like, you know what, this doesn't seem right, and so I just putting, and then lost grip. So now we're sliding, and now I'm like, well, we're sliding into the fucking creek, so that's not good. And I'm with my son. So I've got my arm around him, and then I'm like, I'm gonna have to flip this thing over, and did it. Flipped it on my side and stuck my leg out just in case his leg popped out.
Yeah.
And scratched up, but we did
Did you
okay.
flip it on the side and like ride the
Yeah,
side of it?
yeah,
That'd
yeah,
be a little scary.
yeah. With your, and this is his first time really playing. Probably he's I don't know how many years ago this was. Probably could have been 12 or something, but yeah, it was nuts.
Yeah, no, golf cart accidents. I'm sure there's got to be tons, either
Oh,
reported, unreported, going into ponds, going into sand traps, over hills. Boom, there's a sand trap. Tons of people must go roll those.
how many you think just forget their parking brake and then it rolls right into it? I've seen two of my buddies do that.
Yeah, yeah, I saw my uncle do that. Yeah, right into a pond.
Oh yeah, your uncle, he didn't. Yeah,
Yeah,
there's zero.
he only had one eye though, so he gave me an excuse.
Blame it on the glass eye.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
one eye, and then the cart goes flying. You never know. Yeah.
Did you said your old man's health? Sorry, we jumped back over
Yeah,
that
you know
one
what? I
because I
was
want to talk to you about it.
actually
But
I've started talking about this a little bit on my own radio show where he was diagnosed with Parkinson's maybe 3-4 weeks ago, and so I've dug right into Parkinson's. A lot of
right,
research in my anthropology. I read a lot, so trying to learn a lot about it. And what's interesting is that the early signs and early detection could have been there a long time ago. One of the main things with Parkinson's at the beginning is you lose your sense of smell. So I get on
really,
the phone with my mom. I'm like, hey, yeah, you know what? Like, did you notice dad's sense of smell? Like anything happened, like after he was diagnosed? She's like, yeah, he lost it about 5-6 years ago, but the doctors just said it was old age.
hmm.
Right. He had tremors in his hand,
Canadian
right?
doctors.
Like almost 10 years ago, his hand was shaking, just his hand, a little bit. I'm like, what do you mean? Like 10 years ago? Like this is again after I
Right,
can't be, I'm not getting mad, right? But I'm like,
right.
hmm.
Well,
And
something
she's
you could
like,
do with it, like you were saying, with diet or to be able to help or prolong or whatever.
well,
That
just
would have been
no,
nice.
right? Because he could have got the Parkinson's medication earlier if it was
Right,
detected, which would have saved his brain a little bit. But there was a lot of little signs that were happening that, looking back, you're like, why didn't anybody say this? And it was all stress. Oh, it's his stress. It's his age, or it's his stress. It's his age, or it's his stress. And I'm like, So I started to think about like artificial intelligence, ChatGPT. What if you just started to feed in symptoms and things that are wrong with you? Would that be smart enough to maybe get some sort of early, not detection, but early awareness, so then you can get early detected?
right.
But that's a catch-22, because then the ChatGPT is going to probably tell you have everything if you start to type in every type of symptom. So I don't know. I've been struggling with it a little bit, especially with my own health, thinking about it.
Uh,
Hereditary was the first thing I thought. I'm like, oh, okay. Like,
well, same
what do I
thing I'm
got to know
seeing with
here?
my, that's what we think about. We just want, and I guess I'm not thinking about myself too much, but I'd rather see my family be okay if I can help them out in any
Mhm.
way. Uh, I'll. It's a funny health story, we'll call it. So you've been to the cottage. We're sitting on the back porch. I went and this time I had Jake's truck with me at Costco. So not only could I get groceries, but I got an ice maker, which is kind of important for the cottage instead of having
Yeah,
to go get bags of ice. Carolyn, my
huge.
sister, was like, no, don't get that. And then everybody loved it, of course.
Hmm.
Then I bought a karaoke machine the size of Godzilla. Has two mics, yada, yada, yada. And so that's our new thing with the karaoke. Everybody loved that. So we're sitting out on the back patio or the porch, and one of our group's sort of neighbors, or no, it was actually, that's another couple, but the leading couple was the sister of the husband who lives there, kind of thing. So, extended family. They're
Yeah.
there having a good old time, and they have pretty much a karaoke set up in their basement. They have a gay old time. We're having a hoot. They end up leaving out of nowhere, like half hour later. The one guy walks back and kind of sits beside me and like, oh, hey, I forgot my something in the cooler. And I'm like, no, I put it in your cooler for you, and blah, blah, blah. It might have been a magic stick. And I'm like, here, you can sit and have a beer and whatever. We were chatting. And then he goes, 10 minutes later, he's like, oh, by the way, Dave's in the ditch. And I'm like, what? Where is said ditch? He goes, oh, probably in between your cottage and ours. I'm like, well, I'll pour myself a drink and go have a look.
Yeah.
Sounds like a fun walk. So we go down there, and it's been raining, like pissing rain for the last, 45 minutes. And needless to say, he's just curled up in the ditch. And I'm like, all right, lift him up. I'm like, I'm going to need a little help here. No dead weight, please. I don't need another shoulder injury. So we get him over the shoulder like a sack of potatoes, get him into his cottage, pretty much open his door into his bedroom. His old lady's in there and throw him in bed. And he's soaked. And I'm like getting ready to unbuckle his shorts for him. He's like, no belt, no belt. I'm like, bad choice, but you can stay here, sure. So we're on our way back up to our cottage, and Trace is kind of yelling at me, grass. I'm like, what is going on? So we kind of get on a soft jog and come back up there. Well, my other buddy has missed a step on his way out the door and then face planted on the deck. And so we literally buckle. I thought I was going to have to, stitch him up. All good, just some blood in the mouth kind of area.
Yeah.
All right, let's go. Let's buckle you up and walk you down. So we did, 2 extended walks. So we were calling it Presqu'île 911. And then I'm like, all right, I'm off the clock here. There's no more of this. And then the next night was my brother. So that was the runarounds. We were playing ambulance guy.
Yeah.
Didn't make it to Bald Head, but there's a party. And that's why I was asking you, because you said you're not going to be there, but there's a party there Labor Day weekend, actually. They do.
You going back?
We're thinking about it. I don't know if it's going to pull off. I'm still trying to deal with Jack playing hockey and not knowing where and yada yada yada. So that's another thing that I touched base on it before. That I played pro for 13 years and I'm doing it my whole life. I have no idea how families are doing it because I'm overwhelmed. Like someone who's never done it, and so it's interesting. So it'd be great to get him settled. He's not registered in his school, brick and mortar. He's doing online because those junior teams play it like a pro situation, and they practice during the day and whatnot. So,
yeah. So what's different now? Like, do you think it's different than it was before when you were playing hockey?
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah. It's so when, not just there's definitely some money grabs where it's 100 guys at a camp or whatever, and then you're. What do you do? Where do you just sort of getting bumped down the line? And then.
So what do you mean? You got to pay to get into the camp? So these 100 skaters, they got to pay to just try out?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, and that's substantial. It's $500 a pop, 4 games or something.
Really?
That's where they're making their cheese for the year and to pay coaches. And I get you gotta make it work.
Yeah.
But just the amount of teams, so there is a watered down effect. It would be a great, like when you're talking about how to better things, you'd have to get a round table, and there's some guys doing it right, which is great. And then there's some that may not be doing it as accurate as they should be. But, yeah.
So you got to get in there. You got to go shake it up,
Shaky. Well, and then I'm taking it as a lot of guys know me from playing. So that's good to have those contacts. I've relied on them. I actually got to call somebody after we get off this call, just to sort of ask for their advice, and they know. Just give me the straights. That's all I can ask for. Is give me the straight goods and
put them on a podcast. You know what? Interview them and drill them. Then say, hey, listen, I'm doing I think you had some good names for your podcast, Beyond the Boards or something like that.
Right.
You were thinking about. Do it. Put them on the spot. Listen, how can we make this better? And then let it roll. And people can start having comments. So comment below, whatever. What do we need to change here into the stance? Listen, come on outside. Come to the back of my truck for an interview.
All right.
Well, hey, sorry, Trace. A lot of hockey moms,
Right? No, there are.
But just in general, there's, there might be a demand for that, right? Let's clean up hockey or whatever, make it a little bit easier.
There's a demand for everything. Like they're just revamping Hockey Canada. And then now, yesterday, I was wearing my Leafs jersey. We got the skating lab on today. Go Pots. I don't know how to see it. There it is.
So what about getting rid of the general manager? I read a little bit about that. And then he goes and signs Carlson in Pittsburgh. Yeah.
Right.
Good sign, bad sign?
In Pitt, you can get what he did last year. I think you'd be all right for a bit. They gave up some, but not much, not the world. They've got, they're going to make one more run with Sid and the boys. So good all around for them. The Leafs, well, let's hope We thought last year would have been great, and
Yeah, like
we
what's
get
the
out of the
deal?
first round. But whatever. There's added pressure when you talk about those buds. You know,
Mhm.
it's been a minute, and everybody loves them so much, and they're very passionate. So
You know what I've never asked you about is Ovechkin. You know, Canadian, Gretzky, all time, everything,
right.
best, whatever. And then this goal scoring champ, this goal scoring leader for all time. You think he's gonna? I think he's gonna hang around, right? Why wouldn't he? To get it,
I think it'd be great for hockey. I think
yeah,
it'd be good. You know, he's he's a Russian, yes, but he's definitely taken the Canadian, almost hockey flavor. Look at what he did when he won the cup. Like he was a lunatic. Like he was
yeah, right.
having a gay old time and having fun. And but yeah, no, he's. You talk about a guy that everybody knows that's where he's going to be, and he still scores. So he's got a
Yeah.
heck of a shot, and he's a
So
strong
yeah, so
player.
you're all for Ovechkin then, taking
Sure.
the all time.
I think it'd be good. I think it would help. I think where we have, the game today, I think it's a great game. I do. I still think there needs to be a lot behind the scenes that needs to be done. Um, as a dad, you want to say do well and you'll get rewarded. Do well, work hard. That's all I can ask for.
Yeah,
And hockey, there's still as there are everywhere, politics and the whole bit. But hey, it's if we can try and better it for the next generation, then that would be great. I don't who the people that said are in the position of like Hockey Canada's now have a full makeover. The NHL is going to have to be a part of it. The minor league system, all of it. Like you're going to have to. You got to remember, everybody wants to make money too, right? So you better have the right intentions in mind, and it has to be for the betterment of the game. Where you talk about the kids, that's number one, and I don't think it's there, but how we,
yeah. I got a question for you.
yeah,
You said yeah, Hockey Canada is doing a turnaround or a redo. And you talk about the kids. I have a question because me, I'm in Austria, right? So I'm Central Europe. Austria is pretty kind of closed down a little bit when it comes to current events, and especially when it comes to cancel culture slash woke slash transgender playing sports. Does that happen in hockey yet? Have you seen like in women? Not so much in men's hockey, right? Because it's usually
right
the other
the
way
other way.
around where the dominance happens. And we may have touched a little bit on this, but it seems to be an even hotter topic now than it was a few months ago. And where's the hockey stance on that? Do you know for women's
Um,
hockey?
I don't, but it better be, and where I stand, I will tell you is,
Yeah,
you can do what you want. I wouldn't suggest allowing an 8-year-old to do what they want. But if someone's a young adult and wants to be not who they are or not, and go
yeah,
through a procedure or whatever they do, God bless. But don't expect, if you want to go one way or the other, like if you want to be a woman and jump into men's, okay, I don't care. But there's no way that someone can be able to, as the biggest thing is that swimmer, NCAA.
yeah. Leah Thompson.
Right. So
Yeah,
to go from, non-existent to number one, it's unfair to all the people that, the women that are truly genetically women. And, the ins and outs of that, there's so much in hockey. What are you going to do? Is Donald
that's what I
Brashear,
mean.
like,
Yeah, change rooms. I know team sports, right? Big change rooms. It's just a big circle. And I know
well, there
from
are
reading.
early on, there are still girls playing, right, with the guys. So they have their own change
What do you
room.
mean? Yeah, early
So
on,
youth hockey,
meaning
meaning 10 to 15. After 15, they're normally playing either with a women's group or not.
okay.
Because there's some younger girls that are pretty darn good, and they develop sometimes faster than guys. So there's been, you, Jack had one girl when he was growing up. I didn't back then, but
Yeah,
I know of a few that came out of our system here. But yeah, no, they to do whatever they're doing down the road, and if they're trying to gain, status or whatever that. there's too much in life to fucking, think about that. And then, yeah.
Yeah, because it's something that again I hear a lot, right? And then doing masculinity and gendering, and that we do gender and sex is different, things like that. I'm trying to get into and find my way on how I believe in it all. But yeah, I see this the sports, and to me, like that's I don't know. I'm kind of like that's crossing the line. I
Right.
was going to say that again when you
You
get
said over there it's
biological.
not like
No, it's
there's
all
not.
North American news. I'm
Is it?
hearing. I'll go into schools and I'll even try not start debates, but we're having discussions about stuff, and they're clueless. Some of them, the cancel culture is one thing, but this trans gendering, and then with also the schools teaching it a certain way at younger ages and allowing little kids to telling little kids they're not male or female until they decide what they are later on, and it's just
Well,
all of it. It's just
that's the biggest part I have against it.
it's tough.
Be a fucking parent. Like it's the same. You can't. Everybody's going to parent differently, but you can't
Mhm.
allow a 4 and 8-year-old to make a life decision like that.
Right, hormone replacement
Yeah.
therapy like, at 8 years old. I don't. Again, this is just kind of my opinion. Maybe I'm
Mine
totally
too,
wrong on
right?
this, but it's
But I'm definitely
I
an old school parent, and I'll also
right.
say, you know, Trace and I had a disagreement the other day. I was like, "Oh, what was that charge?" And she goes, "Oh, her boy came out to visit, and she got some. He wanted some more leg room." Like, I'm 6 foot 250. I don't get more fucking leg room. Like,
Yeah,
what? Well,
yeah,
okay. So, but I think there just needs to be. But I'm the old school approach of, I'm the parent. I'm hopefully making good decisions, and I'll, it's not. I'd say I've changed from what my dad did, and so on and so forth, and that's all you want. Like
yeah.
I said, as we make these little humans, and all we want them to do is be a little bit better than us, and then their kids a little, and that's normally a good trend.
Yeah.
So I have definitely incorporated of, it's not my way or the highway. It's okay. I think it's my way, but what do you got? And like, what do you want to discuss? And and then for sure, you got to be able to, mesh and,
Do you see that with your own kids with the cancel and the woke culture going on? Are they involved in it a little bit more? Because like my kids in Canada, they're a little bit older. One's married now. They're not in that university age, and I don't hear. My daughter's got a strong opinion in her side, but
right.
yeah, I'm just wondering what it's like over there too in North America with your kids. You got 3 kids that are right in the wheelhouse of where a lot of this is happening, and a lot of pressure on them too. Do they feel it, or
I'm,
so your kids are competitive? What would happen if someone came in and just dominated the sport, the running and the hurdles and stuff that your
right.
daughters do?
I, and kudos to them for growing up, and they're not grown up. My oldest is 23, but for doing what they've done in the situations they're in, because there is a lot of pull in all directions, right?
Hmm.
Whether it's woke, cancel, influence, whatever. We're in a neighborhood that there is some money, and there are some kids with toys, and there's also kids making bad decisions with drugs, and so all
Yeah,
that's around them. We're not in the inner city, so there's different sort of problems, right?
yeah,
And you know, knock on wood, I'm really proud, and they've made some good decisions and done the right thing. And I think with what you do and how you go about with all that, it's to be swayed one way or the other, and then it's kind of like not being able to make a good decision. When I talked last time about heroin being present in Hamilton County,
yeah,
a teenager on heroin, how do you solve that? You can't. That's why they end up going down a dark road. Well, you throw other things like being able to be pulled one way or the other and not making a truly, unbiased and or educational or intellectual decision, then yeah, there's other things that they can go down, and they haven't. So I think, they've heard it. They've dealt with, early on years ago. I think I was telling you my daughter voted Biden, and then she didn't really know because she just thought she was supposed to do it. And I'm like, you can do whatever you want, but
yeah.
Look,
But making
look,
it do whatever you want, but know kind of what you're doing.
exactly. Don't just, we
Right.
did this because we're 18 and we need to.
Yeah. Well, that
Wow.
happened with Trudeau with cannabis in Canada. There were so many people that voted cannabis for 2016, I believe it was,
All
when
right.
he said he would legalize it. My daughter, she would have been 19, 18 then. And her friends, I'd be like, yeah, so who'd you vote for? We voted cannabis. It's like, what? All
Who's
right,
he?
okay. And he went from 33 seats. Literally, the Liberals went from 33 out of 270 seats or something like 300 seats almost to a majority of over 178 seats in the House. And a lot of that was young voters voting,
Right.
youth voting that Trudeau energy back then, and the cannabis, which was, they weren't thinking about all of the other things that, are involved in politics because they voted popularity.
All right,
That's
Davey.
that's
Davey
tough
pulled
too.
me into politics, even though I hate politics. But
Yeah.
what are you,
So
what are you thinking about down here, buddy? So, what are your thoughts in the big
with
U.S. of A?
with the it's
That's
I don't, you know
ta-da!
what? It's crazy. Like, again, so I take news from everywhere, right? So I see kind of Europeans' perspective on the US. I see the US perspective, whatever. I don't know. Like, the corruption is just off the chart. Let's start with that right from the top.
How
Like,
how
corruption's everywhere, but it,
it's
just acknowledge
flagrant.
it.
It's flagrant.
It's unbelievable. This Hunter Biden laptop, I read one of the
They
emails or
call it
the
the Coke
messages
House
that
now.
he had. Yeah, that he wrote to somebody, and it was literally like the Congress was reading it like word by word, and it was literally a shakedown, telling the people in Ukraine like, you better do this or my dad's going to get involved. Literally saying like, my dad will do this. My dad will do this.
Uh,
And and everybody's fighting for kind of their position. It's crazy, and you start thinking about the deep state, and you've got guys like Joe Rogan, and there's another entertainment play thing called Valuetainment, which I like. It gives you a different perspective, but you start to see what's not being promoted in the media and these other events that are happening, and it's crazy. That one of the things that drove me crazy lately was the submarine going to the Titanic,
huh,
and
huh,
how
huh.
there was five people on this submarine for 4 days. That's all we heard about. Yet there was an immigrant boat going from trying to get into Europe through like Spain and Italy and all that, and it tipped, and 600 people, 600 out of 700 people died. No news,
Didn't hear
right?
about it.
But no, right, exactly the same time. Another like bus with seniors, I think it was in Calgary or something in Canada, flips, and like 40 people dead. Not a word. But these four people, billionaires that jumped in a submarine and went down to the
Right.
Titanic, dominated everything. And it's laughable, right? It's like a joke. It's like we're watching a cartoon, kind of what's going on.
The media is one thing, yes, and there's full corruption in there. I understand that. My sister's in it. I hope she's not corrupted, but sure, you're pulled one way or the other. There's um the just the flagrant corruption behind, the Epstein, the
Oh,
uh, the Clinton
I've read some independent
situation.
journalists on the Epstein.
They have all these names. Nothing's been released.
It's unbelievable.
Why?
It really is unbelievable because yeah, it's out there. It's just
So we're just
being
supposed to
buried,
forget
suppressed.
about it. You're all
What
right,
about this new movie, The Sound of Freedom, the one that Mel Gibson was
right?
part of bringing out, and that's a real deal. Like, I hear a lot of stuff out of Ukraine with so right. This is about human trafficking, but
Right.
mostly child trafficking for sex trafficking, and then for their blood. Essentially, they're saying elite people drink their blood and all of whatever goes with that. And I'm watching this, and technically, literally, I've never been more outraged
When
and
did you see it?
angered about something. I saw Mel Gibson talk about it on another news, and they showed a clip of what's going on, and then they had numbers. And Mel
Okay.
Gibson's like, there's like 80,000 Ukrainian kids missing, gone, off the map, gone. There's hundreds of thousands of
Just post
children
war.
every year that are gone, that are being abducted and being kidnapped, and then put into these sex
Was
trafficking.
was I know it's been a huge issue. But has the Ukrainian numbers just gone up post-war or whatever, like with the invasion?
No, it's been
Are
even
they trying
before.
to use one? I'm trying to see if they said, "Poots, go fight these guys. We're gonna pull kids out the back door," kind of thing.
It's happening everywhere, but now it's even happening more because there's
Right.
no money there. And I've even watched stuff on women giving birth, and how there's these birthing shelters now that women are being forced to have kids, and then the kids are
I've
just
seen
being
that.
taken and being used. And
I've
I've
seen
never
that.
been like, I sent emails to my daughter, my son. I'm like, I've never wanted to stand behind a movement more ever in my life than
Right.
listening to what's going on with the children, human trafficking, sex trafficking. It is mind-boggling. It's mind-boggling. Yet that movie
You
was on the shelf for 5 years. They couldn't put it out.
no shit.
5 years it was
No, right.
sitting made.
Well, that's Hollywood too, as well, right? So,
Right. It's
um,
it's unbelievable.
I saw, and I don't know how many years ago. I thought it was last year, but when it was broadcast or whatever, Mariana Van Zeller, you know her?
No, I might know her, but I don't know
She's
the
a
name.
what was the word I'm looking for? A documentationer.
Documentarist.
Are you a botanist?
Yeah, no, I'm a
What the
documentarist.
hell is she? But anyway, she's a reporter, but she goes
Movie
in.
maker?
She goes
Journalist?
into the dark. Journalist, one word, but it's more of a
Your,
expeditionist.
your sister's a journalist, kind
Right.
of, wasn't she?
Right. But no, yeah, she's not this. This girl goes into the deep.
Yeah.
They allow her, like they know she's
That's an undercover journalist.
well, she's not undercover either. So
No? Incognito.
incognito, sure.
Yeah.
But anyway,
yeah,
so
right.
she's going on the other side and then talking about I think Peru is biggest for counterfeit. South Africa biggest for the scams, behind the phone calls, hey, love, or the fake lover guy, and you send them money.
Oh
type
yeah.
thing.
Yeah, my ex stepmother, her boyfriend, who I knew him
I think
forever,
you were telling
he
me.
got scammed and got huge money taken from him, like
Right.
tens of thousands,
I can't imagine. Like,
tens of thousands, tens.
so
Crazy.
she did one on child trafficking, and it's just bananas, the numbers and how they're doing it, and they showed how they walking into the hospital, the mom getting ready to have the baby, and someone's at the back door ready to take it, and
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
it's
huge.
insane.
Well,
It's so huge. And then you got aliens right now. I don't want to,
ooh, yeah, I was just
right.
gonna ask you about
Aliens
that.
are massive, right? Even
Well,
I
I
watched a
expected
show
that,
today.
right?
Yeah,
Didn't you?
In Peru, you said Peru. There was an alien stuff going on right there. It's all over the news down there. You don't hear hardly anything about it in North America. But again, these
Well-
false fronts that they're setting up, some people say, right, a diversion from this and that. Aliens. I've never seen as much alien news.
Well,
Congress is talking
That's what I was saying.
aliens.
Didn't they just pass something that we now say, okay, back Area 51, or
Mhm.
it's now considered?
They're talking about all this like trillions of dollars that goes missing all the time every year, and they go into these kind of deep state government types of agencies that are, continuing working with all of these kind of, trying to reverse engineer all of these
Well, we have
alien
a few more
stuff, and
blacklists. The show.
It's crazy.
There's a few more shows like there's a few more agencies like the Blacklist,
It's crazy.
undercover ops.
Yeah,
well,
and Trump says he's going to go after him. He's like, I'm going to uncover the deep state, and that's like a big narrative that I hear, where it's like, Democrats right now, it's still being controlled. He's a puppet, whatever. But then Trump, he's the only guy that
I would love
is not
for
as
everything to be
corrupt. Is not as
exposed.
corrupt. Oh yeah, wouldn't that be great? But it's
So-
impossible because it's too deep. Corporate runs everything, right? It's not about
right.
Trump and a president. It's about Schwab. It's about BlackRock. It's about these corporations that literally own everything. And this has been going on forever. I used to study this in sociology, where it
Did
was who's more important, who's got more control, the government or corporate. Who do you think?
One's influenced by the other, so
Right. But at the end of the day, those CEOs and those owners of these corporations, they don't get moved out every 4-8 years.
right.
They stick around for 30, 40, 50 years. Their plan is a lot bigger. And
Well, I think it would be
this is what
better
we're
to
living in.
not get influenced. When you talk about cleaning the swamp, there's got to be a duration there, so they'd have to go influence somebody else rather than Joe, who's been there for 35. I'm not talking Joe Biden. I'm
Crazy.
talking about whoever, right?
Yeah, Joe Schmo.
Joe Schmo. But
Yeah.
no, that's a whole deep cleanse that I when we talk about that, when we talk about that involves the same thing as people, the cancel culture and all that. If we've got blatantly right in front of our faces that we know there's corruption, we know there's this, well then why isn't everybody all going to sort of act the same? Like then I can kind of do what I want, or I can get what I want, and that old
Yep.
school approach to life is kind of slipping by, and that's why I just try to keep it with the kids and whatever the friendships.
Well, power is important, right? Power is such a dominant type of not characteristic, but just an event that is going on that people want to hold it, but it's slipping as we go globalization, digitalization. It's taking power from people, and they're scrambling a little bit.
Right.
It's people get exposed so fast for corruption and things like, again, that Hunter Biden laptop. This I don't know if it's real or not, but again, when they're reading quotes in Congress, you're kind of like, that's got to come from somewhere, right? When they say they've got 17 phone messages with calls from him talking about his dad, it's so crazy. It's so crazy.
I don't want to talk corruption anymore. Let's talk politics to concerts. You got any?
Yeah,
do any? You got one coming up, big one for us.
Do you with Taylor Swift?
Yeah, I'm going to Swifty it up.
Are you?
No. Pearl Jam, September 10th. It'll be, I don't know. I think I've seen 20, 25 shows, something like that.
Never seen them.
Oh, yeah, they're my top with the hip. Gordy's last concert was probably one of my favorite. I didn't even get to go to that, but
Did you? I went to the second last one in Hamilton.
Did you?
Yeah, it was pretty crazy because he literally would stop singing on stage, like zone out, and the band just keeps playing, and then all of a sudden, and he would come back.
I think I told you about it, and you probably saw him that because his aneurysm was pushing so hard on his brain that he was forgetting the lyrics, his own words, and they had monitors everywhere, and so if you don't know who the heck we're talking about, Gordy is the lead singer of the Tragically Hip Canadian band, which would be. I call them our sort of Canadian Pearl Jam-ish sort of. Those are the Pearl Jam and Pearl Jam and Tragically Hip are the two bands that I've seen probably the most. And then him for his last concert in Kingston, small venue. Scalpers bought all the tickets. Prime Minister was there. Blah blah blah, and said, "Screw it, we're going to stream it to everybody." And we watched it down at our place in Indy. It was awesome. It was great.
Yeah. Yeah, I watched it on that last one on TV too, but yeah.
I saw Pearl Jam 92, that second Lollapalooza, where they were in the middle of the afternoon. I didn't even know who they were. And then, all right, they're now going to be my favorite band. Soundgarden was in that. It was an unreal concert. But then,
so who's opening
20 years later?
Pearl Jam?
Know. I don't know if they're just doing their own gig. They might be. They sometimes do that. Sometimes they bring in like, a local artist for half an hour on, I don't know. I haven't heard. September 10th. So we're looking forward to it around my birthday.
Who's going?
Group around here.
Yeah.
I don't know if anybody's coming from back home or not, but.
Oh, your buddies? You got to get them on the podcast. Yeah, where are your buddies? Put some pressure on them.
Oh, get the Squealers, the Presqu'Ilians.
Yeah, the Presqu'Ilians, but also some of the Indianapolians.
Oh, there's a few people that want to do it, actually. Well, then to talk to them about what? We'll see what.
Well, again, a lot of conversation is going around about some of these current event topics, right? Tying them in, and it's it is a little bit depressing sometimes talking about that,
right? That's
and all of that
flavor, fun, as you know.
You got to have fun too, but again, it's kind of pop culture right now too. It's like the corruption, the craziness that's going on out there is it's here to stay for a while, I think. Well, and then going into next year, what's that going to be like going into 2024?
Well, let's get this going a little bit more. It was great talking to you, kid. We're going to get you to class since Davey's got to solve the world's problems with the youth of today.
The masculinity problems.
He's going to bring his 35 seedlings in and share them with the students. Everybody gets a snack.
I get four.
Okay, four.
Yeah. So, I actually took the other ones and we left them in other parts of the city in Vienna, and we put like stickers on them.
What is it, like a geocache game where you find?
It's kind of fun. I couldn't just kill my babies, right? I had to give them a chance.
Buddy, I missed you. I wish you the best with mom, dad, and give your old man a big hug. we were talking, and I think it might be a good idea. Maybe we'll get you and your bro, and we'll have a few
Yeah,
beers.
or even if you and my brother, I'll bring my microphone and I'll set
No,
him
I
up,
know,
and the
and
two of you can go at it too, right?
we'll do a nighttime, and you can just come by, like, off the back screen left,
Yeah.
and do. This is what I think.
Yeah, I'll do that for sure.
And have a few beers, and maybe have a little fun one that way, and talk about old times, since I can't remember
Yeah.
them, and you guys can. So that'd be good.
Maybe some sort of a round table. Can we get 3 people on here? Like if I set up in another room?
Yeah, we can.
Yeah. So maybe we do that too. Maybe we try something like that. I'll go in a different room and then
Yeah,
have like a round table too. But yeah, I'll take my mic. I'll get him on there for you. I got to call him today anyway, so I'll talk to him.
All right, brother. Well, let's stay in touch, and great seeing you, and hopefully catch you soon.
All right. Take it easy.
Peace.